You are now watching, By the Minute, where we highlight unsolved, unidentified and missing cases across the nation. Today we head to Idaho. Boise, Idaho. December 4, 1982. A man would be found dead in a church with a signed note for his final arrangements, but his identity remains unknown. It would be in the evening at the Sacred Heart Catholic Church when a nun would find a man unresponsive in a pew. Another nun, who was also a nurse, would be coming in and was approached to see if she could render aid to the man while the ambulance was on the way. But when she got to the man, he was already cold. Authorities would get to the scene and begin to assess. Under the man's body was a note detailing his final arrangements. The man would ask to be cremated. He left money for his burial and asked that the remaining balance be donated to the church. The man would sign the note William L. Toomey. Detectives would follow leads, but police have been unable to determine his real name. Medical examiners would determine the cause of death due to cyanide poisoning. Investigators are unsure why our John Doe chose to take his life or why he chose to go to the Catholic Church, but they do have theories into why. The questions also arise into why choose cyanide. But there have only been theories and no definitive leads presented from investigators, and that is why we need our viewers with tips to help us get the identity of our John Doe. Our John Doe is a white male, between the ages of 35 to 45, 6 feet 0 inches, weighing 175 pounds with gray eyes and sandy graying hair. He was wearing a western string tie, cowboy boots, blue jeans and a long-sleeved green shirt. Please help us get a name to our John Doe. If you have any information, please contact the Ada County Coroner's Office. Grangeville, Idaho. October 5, 2018. A man working on a film crew would go missing and today his whereabouts remain unknown. Terrence Woods, 27, from Maryland, went to school and has dreams to one day become a film producer. Terrence would have to head to Montana for a shoot and then he would be working as a production assistant for a film based on the Penman Mines area. Terrence's father would take him to the Reagan National Airport in Maryland on September 30, 2018. Terrence spoke to his father on the 30th letting him know everything was fine. It would be on October 3rd that Terrence's father would receive a text from him that he would be leaving the shoot early, which was very unlike him. The next day Terrence's father would receive a call from a crew member letting him know that something had happened with Terrence. The crew member stated that on the 5th the morning of Terrence was acting strange and he had an anxiety attack. Terrence was known to suffer from anxiety, so this did not worry his father. Until the crew member stated that while filming, Terrence allegedly attempted to chase a drone. This was shocking to Terrence's father and he continued to listen to what the crew member had told. The crew member stated that Terrence would take off his equipment belt and radio and then sprint down a cliff. Other crew members would attempt to run after Terrence, but he was running so fast that no one could keep up with him or see where he had went off to. Search efforts were prompted, but to no avail were they able to find Terrence. Today, Terrence remains missing. It is important that anyone in the Idaho area please keep a lookout for Terrence as he is from Maryland. Terrence is a bright star with a future in the filmmaking industry and he is loved by his co-workers where he is highly respected and missed. Terrence is a black male, 5 feet 9 inches, weighing 150 pounds with brown eyes and black hair. Please, if you have seen Terrence, contact the Idaho County Sheriff's Office. Jerome, Idaho. October 20, 1993. A woman would go missing and as the years continue, clue after clue pops onto investigators' desk. Rose Migdal, 45, mother from Wyoming, would be staying at the Holiday Inn on Main Street in Jerome. Rose would pay for a month's stay at the hotel, but her car would be found abandoned a week later. Investigators would find Rose's 1992 Chevy was found with a dead battery and out of gas, the side mirrors and windshield wipers were broken. The car was found on a high-centered pile of rocks in a desert. Detectives would search Rose's hotel room and find, her clothes were gone, the mattress was flipped but her small dog was left inside the room. Investigators at the time did not have access to the forensic technology and did not take fingerprints. But like great detectives, they would stick to one of the best ways to solve cases, and that's seeking tips from witnesses in the community. And they would develop great leads into a suspect. But 4 years later they would get another clue that would turn this missing persons investigation into a homicide investigation. In April 1998, a sheep herder in the desert would find a skull, and medical examiners would determine that it belonged to Rose. In 1997, Rose was legally declared dead, but in 2009, investigators would reopen her case. Someone may have seen or spoke with Rose while she was in the hotel in Jerome, Idaho. Investigators need your help with solving this case. Help us get answers by submitting tips to Jerome County Sheriff's Office. Nampa, Idaho. July 5, 2005. A young man would be shot during a confrontation at his estranged wife's home. The shooter remains unidentified.
A Nampa gang member is gunned down in broad daylight and nobody's talking about it. KBOI2's Brian Morin revisits the homicide of Jason Alvarado in this week's Cold Case.
July 5th, 2005, gunfire rings out in the 600 block of 16th Avenue North. That's just off Garrity Boulevard in Nampa. Police say Jason Alvarado and his fellow gang members showed up at his ex's house, cocked and loaded, ready to settle some scores.
I believe it had to do with child custody stuff and then some gang affiliation issues. It's believed that Jason was struck by some of his fellow gang members in the altercation, and he succumbed to his wounds at the scene.
The gang members scatter.
After the shooting took place, everybody got in the cars and left, and that's where we started to run into our problems, is identifying exactly who was there and getting information about what happened.
To this day, few of the people who were there are willing to talk.
Given the nature of the gang, we're not getting a lot of assistance there.
Although they took off after the shooting, they didn't go far. Police believe they're still nearby.
Yes, absolutely. Of the ones that we were able to identify and speak with, I do believe those friends are still in the area. They're all people with ties to the Nampa-Caldwell area, and so yes, I do believe that they're still here in the valley and still living with what happened that day.
While Alvarado was killed by accident in a gang-related shooting, police still want to serve up justice.
It's difficult knowing that these people still are at large. In this case, Jason went over with the same intent as they did, and so it doesn't diminish the fact that he died because of it.
In Nampa, Brian Morin.
Jose was a young father and his reckless decisions cost him his life, but the suspects have not answered for this murder or the endangerment of the community that day. No one should use gunfire during a custody dispute. It should be handled in a courtroom, and now a homicide investigation will be. Help us get these suspects in custody by submitting tips to Idaho Cold Case Tip Line. Idaho holds a population of 1.9 million, holds the rank as number 5 for being the safest in the U.S. with a total average of 68 homicides a year. Idaho has an unemployment rate of 3.2% and a poverty rate of 10.7%. While ranking in the top 5, keeping communities safe is a duty of us all. We can always help investigators by staying informed, keeping our eyes open, and always giving them tips or information that helps lead us to keeping our communities safe. Help us work together to keep communities across the nation safe by bringing awareness, and sharing this video and subscribing to our channel. Someone you know may have tips. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.